Okay, so I'm here on the wheel today and I'm trimming up some of these tea bowls I made, whiskey cups, whatever you want to call them. So these are all thrown to the same height and the same circumference of the mouth here. So these are cut with cheese slicer. There's a wheel that rotates. I like this one because you can adjust the tension on the wire with this wheel here, and you can make it really tight. So first thing we're going to do is slightly damp wheel and a little bit of water around the mouth here, and we'll get it tap centered up. So tap centering is something that you practice and you practice, you struggle with it, and then it's just like regular centering. You get it, you figure it out, and it clicks in your head, and then it's pretty easy. So the way I kind of taught myself to tap center is, if you have something that's off center, you want to get it in the middle, I kind of place my thumb here, and as it touches my thumb, you can see it touches here, and then it makes a space. So as soon as it touches my thumb, as the wheel comes around, I'm going to give it a tap, and it'll bring it that much closer. So I move my thumb in, give it a tap. This is done quickly though, the wheel's moving fast. So tap, tap, push, tap, push, tap, push. And as you get closer, you kind of keep your thumb stationary, and you can give little tiny minute taps until you get it in the middle. Okay? So let me get a little more water on this, that might come off. And of course these rings here, if you throw a bowl and you take some time so it's perfectly round, you can get them really close just by using the rings here and just kind of eyeballing it. Even that's just kind of close enough for trimming a foot or something. So we'll get this back in the middle here. So normally when I tap center it's quick. It doesn't take long at all to get it in the middle. And push it down, get it nice and stuck to the wheel. Give it a little twist, maybe a little microscopic twist. Seat it down there really well. I like these little loop tools for taking off a lot of material. This one here, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty worn down in the middle here from trimming and sharpening it. These tools here, I'm going to start to make these anyway because it'd be way cheaper to make them out of some 01 tool steel. I'll just kind of grind bevels on them and bend them to the shape I want, and then heat treat them and quench them in oil, and then temper them in an oven, and it'll be very very tough. That 01 tool steel is pretty tough. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this skirt and cut a quick bevel on the outside. So when I throw these, I don't stick them. I don't trim them when they're wet, because it just takes a couple seconds when they're dry. It doesn't really make a difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bevel until I'm into the area where I want the foot, which is right about there. So then I'll cut out the middle. These bottoms are about, I don't know, 3/8, ½ inch thick. So I actually cut through a couple of them already, because as I come down, I cut this part of the foot to where I want it, and then I continue to cut this bevel down and steepen this angle. It's getting too thin in here. These bottoms, to get the foot that I really want, should have been really thick, maybe 3/4 of an inch. That way I can get I could get a steeper angle here and a taller foot, so they sit a little more proud when they they're on a table. So this one here, it's about as far as I dare go. So usually when I cut these, I put them on a bench, on a table, and I strike down with this cheese slicer. Just because the camera's here, I'll just use this as a table. So if this isn't round, I take a chuck and I just kind of make it round. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just if it was off, this will get it close enough. So then what I do is I set it up, and it's going to be a quick motion, and I need enough clearance on this side so I don't bang the the grater here. So I'll kind of you normally overhang off a table, but for the sake of the camera here, I'll do it this way. So I'll put it up. What I'll do is I'll put the wire in the middle. This is about 1/4 inch, but I'll put it in the middle, so I'm cutting an 1/8 inch, slab off it. So I'll set it up at about halfway, and one quick motion will strike it down. So, kind of nice and flat. So then all I do is rotate it, complete opposite, and one motion, strike it down, and do in between those two. See, I got caught up there a little bit, but that's okay, because this imperfection, it'll look nice glazed, so I don't worry about those. So I'll strike it down, and now here I have 4 cuts. So the next 4 will be, I try and make them on these, as close to these corners here as possible. So the wire will go, right there. So we'll set it up, strike it down. See, this roller, if you don't change the angle, the roller will keep this straight. And we'll strike it down. Now that's an interesting one. See what happened there? I don't even know what happened there, but it skipped off it. We'll try that one again. Anyway, we'll do this last one here. There we go. I think what happened here is, see the throwing lines here and here and here? The roller jumped in and out of them. So the question now is, do I leave it or do I mess around with it? I think the answer on this one is I'm going to leave it. So as you can see here, it's not completely flat, the top, just because it was thrown kind of loose. So the next thing I do is take a sponge, if I can find one here. I'll use this elephant ear sponge. And all I do is just soften up this outside edge a little bit, just so it's not sharp. Everything else I tend to leave. If it's a little crumbly down here, I'll just kind of melt that in, but I'll leave, where it's not. Obviously this whole, nothing on this is perfect, but that's kind of like the draw to these, I think. Well, they're not perfect. They're kind of free form, and when they're fired, especially in like a wood kiln, they pick up, the fly ash, and it makes a nice ash glaze. I like to throw these because they don't have to be perfect. It's what makes them special, I think. So one other thing I wanted to show you was I was talking about on Reddit the Giffen grip, and I don't get it. I didn't even know how much they were until I looked at them. They're in stupid money, like $150, $200 for this plastic rig. What I do is, what most, like a production partner, they'll make chucks like this, or chucks like this, and they're just biscuit fired. And this one is for, hollow forms like this. And if you have a bigger one, you can flip it over, and has a different angle on it. And that holds, pieces while you trim them. So for this cone one here, what you do is you get it kind of tab centered, and you just kind of, these are biscuit fired, so a little bit of water here. And just throw a couple, 3 pieces of clay on it. You don't even need to be that big. You see people put massive amounts of clay. Just all you need is a little bit, and you stick it on there. So now you have a chuck. So you can take these cups, any cup, just throw it on a chuck, kind of tap it until it's, centered. Give it a little twist, make sure it's nice and firm, and then you can trim like this. So I'll move the camera here a little bit. There we go. And off you go like this. So these cones are nice if I have a whole slew of these, I might trim on a cone like this. Depends on the shape too. Obviously tall shapes aren't going to work, but if you're doing a bunch of stubby forms, there's a bunch of different ways you can get the job done. There's, everyone takes a class. People take classes and they're shown a way, and then you think that way is the only way to do things. And when that's obviously not the case, there's a bunch of different ways to do things. The way I'm doing these may or may not be the way you would do them. It doesn't make it, right or wrong. It just makes it different. The way you do things, everything has a different outcome. And of course, it's just what you're used to, what you're taught. But just remember that what you're taught, it's not the only way to do it. So this here, like I said, I would have liked to have a little bit thicker bottom. To see what happened to this one is it got too thin as I cut that bevel, because this bottom here wasn't thick enough. And as I was fastening it, it punched through and it kind of collapsed in like that. So again, things happen. You can't really dwell on it. You just kind of figure out what happened and move on. So let's facet this one here. Let me move the camera. Give myself a little bit of room here. And once I get going on these, it's pretty quick. So there's one. Oh boy. See? Happened again. I made these bottoms too thin. They should have been another, 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. That way I could have got more of an angle, and they wouldn't have done that. But hey, like I said, it happens, and you just have to kind of roll with it. So anyway, hope you kind of maybe got something out of this, maybe not. So anyway, that's it. All right, thanks for watching.